So, we go again. Welcome back. Anybody that's rejoining me, or anyone that's coming in for the first time, or in between, welcome all. And gratitude from me to you for taking the time to listen to this. This is number 41 of the Darkness to Light Godcast. Myself, Jim McFadyen from the Vortex Centre for Wellbeing. And this one's going to be called Cleanse to Heal. Now, I did a squadcast last night with John McGuire. That was number 3 on the squadcast series. Anybody that's kind of tuning in for the first time or just going on about it, the squadcast is really me talking to the inner circle, the people that are kind of running about the Vortex. I had Michael and Fern on, who are working, with me and within the Vortex, trying to help get us to the world. But also, for Michael and Fern, who are doing all the kind of online stuff and the digital stuff. There's a group of people, there's another 6 or 7 at this moment in time, who are helping me in all sorts of different ways, whether it's just support, and all fronts, emotional support and, physical support with their presence has been fantastic as well over the last year since the programme launched, and we really kind of went to the next level with us. So the idea with the squadcast was really just for me to bring people in and let those who are watching see what the Vortex is and what it's all about. Again, this is like, I've always felt it's like a public service, information that I'm just kind of sharing where I'm at and telling the story of my life at the minute. I'm just reporting, whether it's through the posts or whether it's, through these now, the videos, or whether it's the online stuff, the online kind of, the reels that are getting kind of pulled off these are the shorter videos. I'm really just reporting about what I'm doing. And the intention's always been the same, to help as many people as I can, get on about this way of living, this way of being, that we continue to see it makes every single thing better that it touches. So there's people running about this, a lot of them almost full time, in terms of it's became a way of life for them. So even if they're still at their work, which most of them are, in fact all of them are, at the same time they're still helping me in ways that you can't even imagine, and because of them, that we're able to get this amount of content out and keep expanding and keep growing. That's what a big part of this about. The community is a huge part of it, but within the community there's a definite inner circle that's developed vibrationally over the last year, I would say. Those who are really ready for it, those who are getting kind of stuck into it, those that are doing the work, obviously. And over the course of the year, there's certain people that have been, that have really kind of, they've embraced it probably because the timing's been right for them, and they've been searching for, their own answers, and they're all I realise at different stages, obviously, but there's certain people that have just kind of gravitated towards, and it's just been the perfect timing for them. So last night I had John on, John McGuire, my brother, and John does, so much for the mission, so much for myself. Even just his friendship and the daily conversations and texts and chats and all that kind of stuff, as well as being my golfing buddy. He is the best golfer in the Vortex, it would appear at the minute. That's a fact, doesn't appear, it's real. Something that I'm hoping to change this year once I get my shit together, and it was great to have him on last night again, because the second podcast that I did was with John McGuire, and John was kind of speaking about his own journey and the healing journey and the stuff that he's been through, so it was interesting last night to kind of catch up, and the reason we did it was because the programme members are on a cleanse at the minute. We're doing a cleanse to heal, is the book that basically is coming through. There's a series of books by Anthony Williams. I'm going to talk about that in a wee minute, once I get through the kind of introduction and basically talking about what's been going on over the last week or so before I dive into the cleanse. We spoke about it a wee bit last night, and yesterday, day before, so we recorded it last night. So the day before, it was like, we're in this cleanse, we're 2 days into the cleanse, we were both flying, and we thought of a good time to kind of talk about it, which, there was very little preparation. We basically came in, sat down and hit record and went for it, and just basically shooting the shit for about an hour and a half last night. Just a conversation, the conversations that we have every time we meet, and the amount of times over the past we're like, oh god, that was really good content, in terms of like for people wanting to learn about this work and learn what it's all about. And last night it's definitely getting easier. It's certainly getting easier for me, to sit in front of the camera. It's getting more and more natural and more and more, I feel less pressure in terms of, having any preparation. And last night it was absolutely that. We basically sat down and had a chat for an hour and a half, and spoke about all sorts of stuff with a wee bit of kind of, I suppose, some sort of kind of structure I was trying to keep to it. But really, just really a conversation about kind of where we both are and what's been going on, and it was wonderful. I had a great night, and we spoke a wee bit about the cleanse. In fact, we spoke a fair chunk about the cleanse, and my plan was to do a Godcast anyway, just to explain what it is and why it's so beneficial for everybody, the food as a medicine, and the kind of the damage that we do just through ignorance, just through, convenience and ignorance, not knowing what we're eating and what we're putting into our bodies. It's something I've been very aware for a long time. And the timing of us going through the cleanse together, we captured a good bit last night talking about it. And this one today, I'm going to be talking about that in more detail. And for anybody that's interested in it, that's again the intention is to just share the information of what I'm doing and what we're doing, and try and get people that are interested, get them inspired, so that they start to take some action and really go and kind of look at different ways to navigate their way through this life. It's not easy just now, it's not easy just now, but the tools and the techniques, certainly the evidence that we're seeing every single day, there are so many people that are flying just now. I can't tell you about this, myself included. I am absolutely flying, the most I've been since the Vortex opened, I would say, in 2016. And that's been done by intentional work on myself every single day, really since probably started in November time, but really kind of January time it really kind of kicked off, and I started to really up the bar, raise the bar, and put a lot more time and effort in the beginning in it myself, and then I'm starting to kind of bear the fruits of that. It's getting better and better every single day. So really grateful for John last night. It'll be interesting to see when the squadcast comes out. The plan, there's good possibility that Sasha's going to win it next week, another huge part of the Vortex, my sister, and someone who's now going to be on part of the programme with her Qigong, which is really exciting. Again, the ancient ways and the stuff that actually works, being taught by just the most authentic teacher, someone that's in it for the greatest good. So excited for that, and that's hopefully going to be next week. So Cleanse to Heal is what we're on just now. This is day 4 of the cleanse, which I'm really enjoying. Before I start talking about that in full detail, a reflection on the last week. It's been a really incredible week. It's getting better and better just now. It really is for everybody. The old kind of concept of the rising tide lifting everybody inside, that's what it feels like. There are so many people on the rise just now, so many people within this group that are doing this work, and for me, last year, November, December time, when the wheels come off for me, when I was kind of facing burnout, really I was just so stale and tired and stagnant, not just the back of last year, but the back of the last probably 6, 7, 8 years of this work, we're basically trying to give it to the world and help people and keep, sharing the stuff that I'm doing. It's been a grind, and I think, the last year, everyone that went into last year with the launch of the programme, Michael and Fern coming on board, all the new ways of trying to take this to the world was a huge learning curve. And really got to kind of November, December time, and I was completely burnt out. I wasn't well, didn't feel good. I had lost, my purpose, lost my drive, lost my direction. Absolutely, I was lost. I think it's fair to say. I didn't know kind of where I was, and in that situation, the only thing to do that I would share with anybody and teach anybody is to basically stop and take stock. As hard as that is sometimes, when things are battering along, but it was at a point where I had to do that, to really kind of get on one programme and really see where I was. When I stopped in November time and backed away from the daily meditations, with live meditations every day at that point online, 5:30 every morning. When I stopped doing that, because I needed to basically heal myself and basically see where I was at and what direction I was heading in. It was interesting in the group because I could feel the kind of, it was like a deflation in the group, but I knew I would get back to this, point I'm at just now, which a lot of the people that are in it, they don't really know, because I've not been on it long enough, but I've been doing this for a long time now, and I kind of know how it goes together, so if it's not working, you need to find another way of doing it, and if I'm not flying, if I'm not doing well, then that's what I'm teaching is well-being, and all the other stuff, the tools and techniques, that leads to that place that I would call alignment, being in that flow state and being happy and joyful and absolutely flying. I wasn't there, so at that point you need to stop, otherwise you're a fraud, otherwise it's not working. And it was all with the best intentions, it was all with the desire to help people. This place opened in 2016, and it was purely to kind of share what I'd picked up on my journey to that point. It was to help human beings, get back to the way that it's meant to be. It's always been the same intention. What I got through that enlightened experience, reconnection to the divine, that's what it's all about. But all the stuff that I teach, that's where they lead towards. All the wee bits that are like kind of foreplay, they lead, to the bit of like realisation of the divinity that's inside of you. And when I opened the Vortex in 2016, the amount of highs and lows that I've had, since it opened in so many different levels, it's been a fantastic learning curve. It's been a fantastic teacher. The amount of people that I've met, There's been nothing in vain. There's been so much expansion from myself, even at the thought now that I'm doing this, doing videos and how comfortable I am now, like presenting and basically teaching this stuff. There's a period of time when I've had to learn that, because before it's easy when you're kind of doing one-on-ones or even smaller groups, but then you start to you spread your wings a wee bit, and then it's maybe a group of 10, and then before you know it's a group of 100, and then I've spoke on stages now with over 1,000 people there, and that's a huge, it's a massive expansion, and it's a huge jump, but you've got to do it in wee different kind of incremental bits, and that's what it's been like, over the last, since 2016, so, almost the last probably 7 or 8 years, I would say. It's been a constant expansion, me trying to figure out ways to get it to the world and try to help as many people as I can. And off it in November, December time, had to back off, stop completely, because it wasn't working the way I was feeling, the way I was basically living. It wasn't good enough, I wasn't in that place I would like to get, not just everybody else to be, but myself to be, obviously, as well. And also the story of everybody that does this work, the amount of people that are light workers and even like yogis, and you hear like healers they're all not well, and that's something I'm very, very aware of. And that to me is not the way. That's not the way it's meant to be. Everybody needs to get it, as I say all the time. Everybody needs to win. So at that point, I wasn't winning, and it was a detriment to me that I was basically helping all these people with the best intentions. But at a certain point, it was like it became too much, and I was basically broken. So November, December, into, away to Malaga for a few days, met Michael and Fern, with the intention to work, to see what was happening over there, the idea of doing a retreat over there, a ceremony retreat over there. And that didn't really work out because of one thing and another, but we had a great 4 or 5 days in the sun, with a bit of catch up, with some good food, a glass of wine, I think, had a couple of coffees, and kind of let my hair down and spent some time with my girl and sat on the beach and sat in the sun and basically contemplated, where I was at and what the plan was. And then a couple of really kind of significant events happened on the way back that has altered the course. I got to a point where the day I was coming back, and a couple of really significant things unfolded that made me very uncomfortable, and I had to really good look at myself, because this year, again, the start of the year, what you're doing, what is it you're actually, what you're trying to achieve, and I'm 53 now, which obviously you're still young, but at the time, the way I was feeling, I wasn't feeling good physically within my own body, and I've dealt with challenges at different areas and different stages my whole life. There's always been some sort of internal resistance, whether it's a Western diet or because of the traumas I experienced when I was younger, or a bit of everything. So when I came back in January time, I had to really have a good look at myself and say, like, what are you doing here? Like, this is a great time to basically raise the bar, and are you serious? Because I was not fulfilling my potential, but I really wasn't. I was probably, helping a lot of people, absolutely, but the thing for me is I need to fulfill my potential. That's what I teach everybody. You must fulfill your own potential. When you stand before God and she asks you, how did you do? You need to say you've done your best, and if I'm being honest, I wasn't doing my best. I was kind of cruising a wee bit. I was stale, I was stagnant, I was a wee bit bored, because I felt as I was teaching the same thing all the time. So January, when I came back, January 2nd, when we flew back in, it was a perfect opportunity to go, right, you know what, I need to really give this a proper go, and see how far I can take this, for my own sake, so when I get to the end of that, the thought of getting to the end and not have given your best, would be too much. That's something, that weight of regret is so heavy, when you wish you'd done something. Wayne Dyer used to say, you don't regret the things you've done, you regret the things you never did. And for me, the idea that, to get to the end, especially all the good stuff that's run about me just now, and the vortex of people that are here, I really felt an obligation to them, to really raise my bar and really go for it full out. And there's probably a wee bit of fear in there as well. It's kind of like, I spoke to my boy last week, and he was talking about he was at school, he never really tried, and I remember this as well when I was young, and there's maybe a wee bit of that, not now, but not that long ago, where it's like, if you don't really try and you fail, it doesn't really matter. That's something that I think a lot of people have got probably unconsciously. My boy was talking about it last week at school, but he didn't really get his best because, if you failed, then it was like, it doesn't matter, like, fuck it, you never, didn't really matter. And, now I can safely say for the last, what's it now, we're into the kind of, we're almost into the second week in March. Can't even tell the date that is. Somebody asked me the date yesterday. I was like, what year is it? I don't use watches, I don't watch the news, I never really tune into, unless my diary's got an appointment in it. But we're definitely into March, I know that much. And like, spring's in there, the sun's coming out, and now kind of, as 8-9 weeks into this phase of my life, I am now absolutely starting to reap the benefits, I would say, in so many different areas. And interestingly how I started, right back then I started, so I've had half a shot of coffee since I came back from Spain. Coffee had crept back in again, as had sugar a wee bit, which would be dark chocolate and things like that. I don't really eat rubbish. I don't eat crisps or any of that kind of rubbish nonsense. I never eat kind of takeaway food. Haven't done forever. I don't drink fizzy drinks. Like me, really, like letting my hair down with a cup of black tea and a square of dark chocolate. And you know, definitely a tendency to overeat because of my diet, high carbohydrate, low fat, mostly plant-based. You know, I get away with it, but definitely overeating. But when I came back from Spain, I had the decision to really clean my diet up and really kind of start to, you know, prepare myself for, you know, giving it a real good shot. That's what it felt like. And really interesting, you know, how, you know, fast forward over like probably 4 or 5 weeks, and now the disease I've got in my body, the dis-ease in my body. I'm not saying the word disease. Disease sounds like a medical term. Dis-ease is what I'm experiencing just now in my body. And, you know, how I basically did the 4 or 5 weeks of really cleaning my diet up. And it really prepared me, you know, for when the realisation came of that there was something wrong. And then when I really discovered what was wrong with me, and then the understanding, after a couple of days of like, you know, it was an absolute nightmare with the kind of world caved in on me. I would say depression for the first time since about probably 1996, where it kind of caved in on me, and it was like, oh no, you know, what do I do here? And I've always, you know, being aware and being conscious, you know, when you're right in the middle of it, that's when some of the best lessons are to be had. And I was very aware of that at the time, you know, no matter how like bad this was, you know, nobody's going to fix me. You know, I'm not going to go to a doctor and look for medication to fix this. So I've not sat in front of a doctor since 1996 was the last time I sat in front of a doctor. I don't take pills, I don't take medication. In any description, you know, so really taking full responsibility for my own health and deciding how I was going to do it. That was the first couple of days, like once I kind of licked my wounds and I had a real kind of look at myself and go, right, okay, what are you going to do about it? You know, Tony Robbins used to say, like, don't see it worse than it is and don't see it better than it is, like, see how it is, and at that point you start to make decisions. And that's what I did, and it took me a good probably week, I would say, you know, to get myself back together again. And then over the last 3 weeks, and really just probably the last week, if I'm being honest, you know, the momentum I'm now gathering and how excited I am about healing myself is just incredible. The new information, and again, you don't really learn stuff unless you need it. You know, you don't, all the stuff that I've been picking up over the years, I talk about being chained to a bed in a mental hospital, that's where I started for me, you know, and I'll never be back there ever again. So that's been the fuel for my fire, absolutely. The pain and suffering and the contrast that I went through, and all the different levels and all the different stages and ages of my life, you know, those lessons that I learned, you know, and the ability to transcend them, that's what this is all about. Of course it is, you know. So when stuff happens to you, you know, you've got two like responses. You can either like chuck the towel in and say like boo-hoo, poor me, and become the victim and just allow life to do whatever it wants to do to you, or you can see where it is. You know, you can accept you know, whatever the reality of what it is, but then at that point it's like, what are you going to do about it? And that's what it's been like, you know, over the last probably 3-4 weeks. And the expansion that I've made, you know, the stuff that I'm not learning it for the first time because I already know a lot of this stuff. I have been fascinated with the science of, you know, how things go together. As a kind of layman, you know, I trained at a really high level when I did the Wim Hof method breathing. I reckon that was third year university biology. For me, again, I never did biology at school, was never really interested in school. It was all about football and basically going to see my girl at school, my wife. That was my school education. But when I learned getting the Wim Hof method, I spent 7 or 8 months basically every single day learning about the nervous system and biology and how the chemistry works. And then I trained with Patrick McFadyen through the Oxygen Advantage to become an Oxygen Advantage instructor, and also trained in the Buteyko method as well. When you train with Patrick, it's just he talks to you as if you're a scientist, you know. So the abbreviations and the terminology and the scientific papers, you know, I've had to learn all this stuff myself. And the only reason I learned it is because I had a reason for learning it, because I had an interest in it, and because I wanted to use it to help people. You know, and at the same time, you know, all the other stuff like the Joe Dispenza and the Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, all that, you know, but that's common, you know, it's the common terminology now, like epigenetics and, you know, how the brain and the chemistry of the mind and what you're thinking about, how it affects, you know, the systems of the body and how that, you know, influences the genes, how you can upregulate the genes or downregulate the genes. All that stuff was always really interesting to me. But over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I have been like totally immersed in it in ways that you know, I've never done before. Why? Because I've never needed to, and that's been fascinating. You know, it's been really interesting to look at the, you know, the hard science and what they're proving, what these guys are basically proving in terms of how healing takes place and the effects that we have, really, even just by what you're thinking about, what you're creating within your mind, and that's something I'm talking about all the time. What we're doing is living with intention. It's the intentional life, and what I've had to do is go back in and go, right, okay, what else is there to learn now? When I trained with Joe Dispenza for the first time, did the 90-day course, and it's all about that, it's all about the different levels to the brain and the 3 different brains and how one part affects the other and the coherence of the brain, and then you're linking it. It was interesting, but I had no reason for learning it. And now, thanks to the internet and the information that's on there, I looked at his course, and Joe Dispenza's meditations don't do it for me. I've very much got my own meditation practice. I know how to tap into the divine. I've been doing it for that long now, and his voice puts me off, if I'm being honest. His intentions are beautiful. He's helping so many people. God bless his soul. God bless his work. All that, the coherence and the heart math stuff that he's teaching is wonderful, and the awareness as to how it goes together, so that you know what you're actually doing. But I looked at his course and I'm thinking, I've no desire to go and train with him, because I've really got my own system, and I've always kind of marched to my own drumming and kind of made my own path, so the desire to go and learn from him, it was like, not really, but the amount of information I've learned on the internet, not just from him. Greg Braden's been another one. He's been fantastic. It's so many, and especially for healing. I remember the documentary, The Divine Matrix, when it came out, which might be 15, 20 years ago. The first time I saw that, they've got 3 practitioners, like 3 healers dressed in white, that are like clinical physicians, they look like. And there's someone on the table who's got, I think, the tumour, it's a cancerous tumour, and I believe it's on the kidney. I think it's on the kidney. And they've got ultrasound, so you can see the cancerous tumour on the actual screen. And what they're basically doing, they're chanting. So they're from the Far East, so they're Asian, so they're chanting, and they're repeating the same word over and over again. And Greg Braden explains that what they're chanting is like healed. So they're coming from the end as if this person is already healed. Now, obviously, the belief system of the person that's on the bed is absolutely huge. But what you see in real time is this cancer tumour basically disappearing in real time. And it's really the power of intention and what these 3 practitioners surrounding this person on the bed and simply just chanting and basically sending in a different intention, a different vibration, and watching how that took place at the time. I remember it blew my mind. It was like, holy shit. So, the power that's in this stuff, I've always known is there. But now, because I've got a reason for learning it, everything's changed. And I think it's important as well, because of the stuff that I'm teaching, I miss out the middle bit a wee bit. I'm all about the experience and reconnecting people back to the self and reconnecting them back to the divine and reconnecting with each other. That's absolutely brilliant. But as Joe Dispenza, what is it he says, that you don't just need to know, you need to know how. So that's an important part, I think, that I'm going to be adding into the stuff that I'm sharing and teaching people, how it goes together and why it goes together. I know how to switch off the mind, I know how to get people out of their head and get them back into their heart and all that whole reconnection process, but I think there's a significant part where, people should know the significance of it, but how it all goes together, so they can get it for themselves, So really excited just now. I've never felt this good in a long time. I said to my wife this morning, I feel fucking amazing just now. And she smiled at me, she says, when's the last time you felt like that? And I says, yesterday. And it was true, because I'm feeling that good in it every single day. I'm absolutely flying. I can't wait to get up. I can't wait to go to bed. I'm excited for the group. I'm excited for everything just now. There's so much expansion, so much inspiration coming through me. My nose is itchy, sorry. But it's like, when Abraham says, Abraham Hicks, the better it gets, the better it gets. That's literally what I'm living just now, So really blessed, and it's on the back of not just the work, but it's on the back of a really an intentional path that anybody can learn. And the evidence to that is the people that are on about it, the programme members and the people within this group that are just flying just now. That community is, I believe, the intention is to heal the world. That's the intention with this work. That's always been my intention, to take this to the world and heal the world. And really now, I'm feeling like it's a definite possibility. I feel it. When I go to bed at night, I feel that with everybody getting this, everybody in their heart, everybody connected to the divine, everybody flying, and that's literally heaven on earth. Like, why not? That's what's available to us, So, but the group that's basically run about it just now, and you see it, I can feel it and see it in the meditations, the massive shifts in consciousness that people are making over the last year. Some of them in a really short period of time, by getting run about it and really like submersing themselves, real kind of devotional practices every single day. John was talking last night how I asked him what his practice was, and it's 4 times a day, so it's first thing in the morning, and then it's going to work, sitting, the lad that's Darren, God bless you Darren, we thank you, the whole world is benefiting by you driving John to work and allowing him to meditate, and I look forward to meeting you, brother. But so John's sitting going to work, basically meditating, and then he's catching another session on the way back, and then he's meditating at night time. before he goes to bed, if it's not, after he's dinner, depending on where he's at with preparing like meals for the weigh-in. So like 4 times a day. And really evident for me, there's levels to this game when you see where the man is, and you can just feel it off him, but you can see it coming through every single cell of his body. It's real. The harder, the more work, and it's not hard work, because it never feels like work. It feels easy. If you ask John, is it hard work? No, it's just the way it is now. It's became a way of life for him, and it feels that good. And if you know his story for the first Squadcast, you know what he's been through in his life. Now that he's finding this really enlightened states of consciousness every single day, then to feel as good as that when you've not felt that good for most of your life, which is the way most people are, at that point it's no work. At that point it's a choice. And it's not just John. There's so many people, as I see every Monday night in Boys Club, because I get to see that firsthand as well. In our Circle Boys Club, through the programme members, the work that we've been doing, especially over the last couple of weeks, has been just incredible. And it's getting to the point now, I can basically do whatever I want, so I can completely be myself, with the best of intentions, obviously, but sharing the stuff that I work on, the kind of real, kind of cutting edge woohoo like stuff, the things that you wouldn't really talk to somebody in the pub about it if that was your way. Because they'd probably lock you up, when you hear about some of the stuff that we're doing. But it's really me, and it's all with the best of intentions to help people find a relief and help people heal, and get people back into spirit, to live in the way that it's meant to be. So at that point, a couple of Mondays ago, I was sharing with the boys like the next stage and what we're leading into, and they're all ready for it because they're doing the work every single week, So that's been really interesting. And I'm going to talk about that a wee bit as well towards the end, the new stuff that's coming through. So a lot of good stuff going on just now. Really, really grateful in so many different ways. Grateful for the work that I'm doing myself. I'm really putting into myself, the compassion I had for myself and my own journey, and all the kind of the tears that I've been grating out the last wee bit. Now it's tears of happiness and tears of joy and tears of just like inspiration. It feels like the inspiration that's coming through in so many different ways. My connection with the divine just now is the best that it's ever been, and I'm not chasing that enlightened experience. If that never happens ever again, I'm alright with that. I've had it before. I don't need that again. I know what it's like. I know where I'm going once I die. I know the presence of the field. I can feel the presence of the divine. I know that it's everywhere. I know I'm surrounded by it, as we all are. I know we're right in the middle of it, like a divine soup that you're standing and sitting and living and being right in the middle of every single bit of it. I know my connection to it. I know there's work to be done, so it's very different just now, and I do feel, in fact I know, there are so many people that are getting affected by it, in terms of the inspiration that's coming through that are going to enable us to go and help this world and get it back to the way that it's meant to be. So it's a really exciting time for me. I'm in a great place. I'm loving it. I'm really excited to keep going and continue to put the work into myself, and getting it for myself first and foremost, and then paying it forward and helping as many people as I can. It's one soul at a time every single day. That's always been my plan, and that's the way it's going just now. It's been an absolute blessing. So off the back of that, I'm looking back on last week. We had One Day to Change Your Life at New Lanark Mill Hotel, which was just absolutely fantastic. What a day it was. It was you talk about learning and learning curves. The amount of times I've now presented, which must be thousands of times, between one-on-ones and private groups and, an event like that. And One Day to Change Your Life, it should probably be over 2 days. I think the amount of content in it, it's probably worthy of at least 2 days. And then probably another 6 months to process what you've just been through and what's just happened to you. So to it's no cramming it all in, but it's a lot of information. It's a lot of inspiration as well in one day. Interesting watching people come in and how quiet. It's always late starting. The events are always late starting, which is really interesting for me. When we do the groups online, I give people 5 minutes and then that's it, done and dusted. If somebody's coming here for a session and they're 15 minutes late, it's done for me. There's a certain time we need to be there. But those big events, especially at New Lanark, where people seem to struggle getting there in time with the parking and one thing and another. It was late starting, and the energy in the room was very interesting. It really was. It was a really interesting day. I had a fantastic morning, right up to the point where it kind of almost started with the wheels come off a wee bit. I'll be honest with you. I was up for a back of 3, didn't sleep that good. I was up, kind of felt in the middle of the night, didn't have a good sleep, felt a wee bit frazzled, a wee bit kind of stressed when I woke up, and that was really unusual for me because I've been feeling that good for that long, and I think because I hadn't done one of them for a wee bit, and also a couple of messages that I got in the morning time relating to the event. One in particular really affected me. It set me off on the wrong foot. Up to that point, between 3 and about 6:30 in the morning, I said to the gang when I got there, the team when I got there, I think I've peaked too soon. I was joking, but I was being completely serious, because For 3 in the morning, you know, I was up, I did my breathing, I was in the ice, I had a sauna on, I had about 3 hours meditation, I laughed, I was in tears of gratitude, tears of joy, I was in tears of inspiration. I couldn't wait for the day to unfold because I knew it was going to be an absolute cracker. And then, you know, it's just interesting, you know, when you're feeling that good, and so excited and so much preparation that went into it, even what it took to put that event on, you know, in terms of the marketing and, you know, the running the adverts and Michael and Fern and, you know, the hotel and the visits down there, all that kind of stuff, as well as the work that I'm doing, so that when I turn up, you know, I'm going to give everything that I can to the people that are basically giving me their time and their effort and their money to come and learn this day and experience this day. It's a huge amount of effort that goes into it, you know. So when it did happen, when it came, for the first half hour or so, I didn't feel good at all. I really didn't. And nobody would ever know, they really wouldn't. But as always, I'm honest, you know, and I think I shared it at the time. It was a bit, I certainly shared it with Inner Circle. It was a definite struggle the first wee bit because of what I've just mentioned. You know, I was definitely off my vibe a wee bit, certainly more than I would have liked to have been. I found it very quickly. I got back up to speed and found my rhythm again very quickly, which was interesting. And, you know, the thank you to the people that came, especially all the newbies that were the first timers there. I think a lot of people, certainly the feeling I got, a lot of people were kind of interested in stuff. A lot were there for the cold exposure, and for me the cold exposure, it's not that it's not a thing anymore, but it's such a small part of it. It's the kind of thing that if you're not doing it, you're missing a trick. So you really should be doing it if you want to be part of this. If you want to be living this life, then it's something you don't need to be doing it every single day, but you need to know how to do it, you know, because of the positive impact it can have on you, especially, you know, for people that are suffering and struggling and dealing with stress and, you know, all the list of different things that it helps. It's hugely important to know it, you know. So it's not about that for me. The whole going to the river was great, and the process of going to the river was fantastic, but the information and the connection process that takes place, that's obviously what it's about. It's the massive expansion that takes place on that day, that, you know, is that basically that people are there to get. They're here for the new information, the new realizations of what's possible, you know, and me talking about the program and, you know, how it goes together and what the program is, and, you know, explaining what intentional living is, and then giving the entire kind of behind the scenes, the playbook of what the program is and what the vortex is and what I'm actually doing. You know, there's a whole system to it, which is unique to me, and it's original to me. I've put it together, and it's a whole system for living that I call the program, you know. So when people come in, there's a huge amount of information, you know, which is probably better over 2 days to try and like take it in, absorb it, and then apply it into your life. Hugely challenging. You know, there's a lot going on. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. You know, I try to keep it as basic as possible. But you know, as I found, you know, with the morning session, which is really about education. You know, it's explaining what the program is and how all the different bits go together. By the time it got to 1:30, we still hadn't been to the river. You know, and we were meant to be finished at 4 o'clock. And the way that it changed this time was really interesting. It was good talking to John before we went on air last night for 5 minutes. On air, that sounds like kind of thing you done that. Before we recorded last night. The stuff that I couldn't remember most of that day, and I think that's a great place to be, because it's coming through you. You know, so once I do these recordings, I can't even remember what I'm talking about. I've never watched one yet. I don't watch them. I basically do my best and I let it go and then see where it goes. I don't even check in the numbers or anything like that. And John or Michael or Fern, they'll deal with the comments. I don't really see it. You know, it's letting it come through me. And Saturday was absolutely like that. You know, it came through, and John was talking about the processes. It was very different this time. I would normally take people through the full breath work before we went to the river, which is a full reconnection and up-regulating, you know, the feelings and the emotions, and reconnection back to the heart. And in the past, you know, all the events I've done like that, normally what happens is we come back from the river and people are absolutely burst. There's nothing left, and the afternoon session becomes a wee bit an anticlimax. You know, I think because you've been in the river as well, there's a definite, you know, when you're in parasympathetic and the stress has been released, and there's that whole people can't think, you know. So to then to try and do anything in the afternoon has always been a challenge. So my intention was to do it differently, but the way that it came through was very different. And some of the processes that I used, John was talking about, you know, the way that I took people into the cold. There was a few people in the room that really didn't fancy the cold. You can always, when you ask like, who's got a cold exposure practice, and it was freezing on Saturday. It was absolutely freezing, and the river was absolutely freezing. And it's very different when it's running over you. It steals your energy, so it's like, it feels like 100 times colder than sitting in an ice bath for whatever reason. Because it's stealing your energy, that's the reason, you know. And there's a lot going on, and you're in nature and it's sore under your feet with the pebbles, and there's other people there, so the ego's involved in terms of not wanting to let yourself down, and not wanting to basically like show yourself up because you can't do it. There's all of that going on, so there's loads of stuff you're having to deal with, as well as walking across a muddy field and dealing with the cows and the sheep and everything that goes with it. There's a lot going on. So, but the way that the process took place, by basically, and John said to me last night, I completely forgot about this whole part of it. And what I basically did was something I learned a long time ago. It's like future programming, where you basically take people through the experience before they do it. So by the time they got to the river, John said, I've never seen it like that before. Of all the times that he's been, there was no drama, and I don't accept drama. I don't accept the woohoo brigade and people jumping about, and that's all like a defence mechanism. It's not about that. This is a sacred practice. We're going into Mother Nature. It's freezing cold water. We're looking for cold exposure, so it's going to be cold. So fantastic. So either do it or don't do it. And the way that I set it up, and without realising, the people actually got the experience before they got to the river. So that by the time they got to the river, they'd already done it. They'd already done it once before in their mind, with their eyes closed, that unconscious mind, that unconscious process. And the unconscious mind is incredible. It's so subjective that when you take through a process like that, and the hypnotic language that I was using, by intention, absolutely. When you take people through a process, then the unconscious mind and everything that's unconscious about it believes that it's actually been through the process before. So by the time they go to do it, it's already done. They've done it once before. So the second time is actually easy. And as cold as that was, and it was bitter cold, it was painfully cold, watching people for the first time getting in and lying down in that river, and it was just quiet. It was nice. People just in their breath, people in Mother Nature, reconnecting to the nature, and then feeling what happened when people get out the river, and even after that, it was subdued, and it was absolutely beautiful, and well done. Salute to you, the guys that did it, and the ones that went through not just the river but the whole day. And it was interesting for me watching the new expansion, the new, like the way that it came through for me, which again is testament to where I've been just now. I've got that much good stuff going on just now, but that many different ways that I can pull it in, or the way that it comes through me. But it was interesting for me to watch it, how the day was definitely split up to the morning time, the information, explaining the programme, what it's all about. I taught the aware breath, which is something new that came through as well. That was planned last week. So bringing awareness into your breath, which is based on functional breathing, how we're supposed to breathe as human beings. And then once we come back for the river, we still had a real significant part, probably the most significant part in the afternoon session. I'd left that to last, which is the intentional breath, so that's the way that I take people, once the head's been switched off, which is easy when you've been in the river and you've done that breath work before it, but then, sitting in meditation, sitting in a big circle, the intentional breath to reconnect back into your heart, back into your soul, reconnect with yourself, reconnect with each other, we'd reconnect with Mother Nature and the river, an hour previous, and then reconnection with the divine. That's what it's all about. That's what really One Day to Change Your Life is all about. It's really a transformational experience that should be like an incredible quantum shift in your consciousness. The amount of information, the amount of inspiration, and being in that room with the group, the inner circle. So much love, so much gratitude. Michael was back from Spain, back for a funeral and extended his stay. Thanks to you, big man, for doing that. Darren was there as well. Myra, Mark Burns, John Maguire, the apprenticeship programme, the people that I'm basically teaching my tools and techniques to, with the intention to basically take this to the world. Having them in the room, as well as there was 7 programme members who have got really, a lot of them, devotional meditation practices. So there's 12 people, and myself, 13 people, so half the room was really up to speed with what we're doing, and the benefit that other, whatever it was, at least 13, 14 people received just by being in the presence of that. I told the story that I had a long time ago. If I was to sit in meditation in one room and you were in the next room, and you did nothing except sit there. As Wayne Dyer taught me, the good stress hormones, all the good chemistry within your body, like serotonin and melatonin, all the good stress chemistry in your body would be elevated just by me sitting in meditation. So again, that connection within the field, that connection with each other by intention, what it did to the entire room, what it did to the entire, the process of people being there and the actual day itself. Of course, it was a fantastic day. And off the back of that, we get 5 people signed up for the programme. V2 of the programme. The plan is to launch it on Saturday, but it's not up yet. The old programme is still that's still running. The new programme is about to be uploaded, I believe, any day. Michael's uploading all the new information, all the new videos, and the stuff that's coming in from Ross and coming in from Sasha. That's going uploaded just now. So 5 new members onto the programme. As I always say, I'm very careful about who we let into the programme now. I really am, for many different reasons. It's not just a case of like people like jump in and sign up and then they're into it. They're into the Telegram chat, which is an absolute sacred space. You know, I protect that with my life. I really do. There is no drama in it. There is no bullshit. It's all like humble people making their way through this together as a community. You know, so I need to be very careful what comes into that. You know, and it's a vibrational selection process that takes place. You need to be at a certain point where you're ready to join it, because of the pace that it's moving at as well. So really, the best way into it would be do something like One Day to Change Your Life, or to come obviously to one of the events at the Vortex, or like a one-on-one, and you know, so I can see who you are before we actually say, aye, you know what, you can join the programme, because there's been so much work put into it now, and there's so much goodness in that group. There are so many good people. Everybody in that group, there is only goodness. People on this intentional path, people that working hard every single day to better their lives, living with intention, you know, with everything, you know, like getting to that place I'm trying to teach is basically mastery of the self, like mastery of your life experience, so you can fulfill your potential. You know, when you see the amount of work that people are putting in, then any drama whatsoever, any bullshit, you know, anybody that's coming in that's not of pure intention or isn't only goodness, it's not going to work, you know. So at that point, it's not worth it. So I need to be very, very careful. And absolutely blessed. I think it's 5. There's 4 definitely just now. I think there's 1 just pending. Again, when that happens, it's just magic, you know, just the people that are getting round about it and being drawn towards the work. And Saturday, there's no sales. It's like almost taken away from people, you know, because you need to be ready. You need to be at a certain stage of your life. You need to be serious about this. We're not fucking about, you know. It's no a get together and everybody jumping in the water and taking pictures for Facebook and jumping about like idiots. That's not what this is. It's really kind of quiet, humble, intentional living. In service to the divine. When you go to the ultimate level, you know, the people are really running about it and getting it for themselves. It's all about trying to make this world a better place, and the way we do that is by getting it for yourself first and then paying it forward, you know. So there's the first part is self-mastery. After that, once you really get it for yourself, then we take it to the world. So One Day to Change Your Life was absolutely incredible. Really blessed, really grateful for everybody that showed up. Thanks to New Lanark Mill Hotel as well, you know, for them putting us up and letting us run a couple of hours over. There's a relationship kind of forming there, which I'm excited about. And the next One Day to Change Your Life, I'm thinking about already. I think it might be Glasgow. I had a couple of hotels come up this morning I was thinking about, and I'm really considering doing that next one in Glasgow. And, you know, probably using Loch Lomond for cold exposure. And then New Lanark again, trying to get people there to New Lanark for whatever reason. It seems like the other end of the world for a lot of people. We had over 20 on Saturday with 4 no-shows. And, you know, I'm feeling like the bigger population, maybe it's time to go to Glasgow and take One Day to Change Your Life to Glasgow. That's kind of what it feels like next. And excited for that, because now it's, you know, at a point where I'm up with it, you know, where the team is up with it, you know, we can basically go anywhere in the world now, whether it's 20 odd people or 30 people at the weekend to, you know, it wouldn't matter whether it's 10,000 people or 20,000 people. It makes no difference. You know, the process is there, the work's been done to be ready to present it to the world, and what we're seeing is universal, so everybody gets it in one day, which is just fantastic, you know, so excited for that. You know, so off the back of that finished on, what was that, Saturday? It was Saturday night. I was absolutely burst. God bless my wife. I hadn't seen her all day, and I get in and I was wrung out. Saturday was really hard work for me. It really was. It was a real grind, and it was absolutely worth it. But normally it kind of flows through me, which it did in loads of different bits. Once I got up to speed, absolutely. But I think the kind of drama in the morning time, and then the amount of effort that I was putting into it in different stages, maybe because I was teaching some new stuff, maybe the way I was looking to put it together. By the time I got to Saturday night, I was absolutely wrung out. There was nothing left of me. I've never felt as empty. Not physically empty, not like emotionally empty. Well, every empty, if I'm honest. There was nothing left. My wife was talking to me, and even her words were hurting me. It was like I had to go to bed. I was in bed for about 8:30 on Saturday night. I was just absolutely done in. I had nothing left. I had given my all in a way that I probably hadn't done before. I had to work really hard for it, you know, in terms of trying to keep it to the flow. And there's an absolute structure to it now as well. There's probably 20 different topics and headings that I like to do in a certain flow, again by design. I spent the whole week before it like preparing that, you know, so that we're basically teaching a really specific structure. You know, so by the time it came to Saturday night, I was absolutely frazzled. There was nothing left. I was absolutely done. So early to bed, early to rise, up on Sunday morning, and very emotional on Sunday morning, which was interesting. And the plan was to go and get a wee game of golf, but that didn't happen. I had nothing left. I was burnt out. I was done in. I wasn't burnt out. I was empty. That's the best way to explain it. I was completely empty. So me and my wife went for the plan was to go to the beach and get a walk along the beach in Edinburgh. That didn't happen because of the motorway up at Livingston. Ended up at Beecraze Country Park. Then we went to in Lithgow for a wee bully soup, and we had a fantastic day just walking about the trees and basically catching up with each other, me, my girl and Doug, my two girls. We had a fantastic day, and the preparation for that this Sunday was because I knew on Monday morning that the cleanse was starting. The cleanse that I've been talking about to the programme members for the last 4 or 5 weeks it started ago, where the desire was to go, right, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I think we should do as a group because of my experience with it in the past. So that was happening on Monday, so 5 weeks previous, explained what it was, and anybody that doesn't know, anybody that's interested in it, the cleanse that I'm using, it's from the medical medium who is Anthony Williams. Now, Anthony Williams is only goodness. He is a man who, I can't wait to meet him. I'd love to have him on here. I'd love to speak to him. I'd love to meet him in person. I'd love to be around about him. He talk about light workers and people who are for the cause, people who are in this for the greatest good. That man, he must be in his 50s now. And as I believe he was 4 years old, and he was sitting across from his gran at the kind of kitchen table, and he could see cancer within his gran. I believe his gran had stage 4 cancer. It's been many years since I've heard the story, but I believe his gran had stage 4 cancer. Forgive me if I get any bit of this wrong, but I believe his gran had stage 4 cancer, and he could see it as a 4-year-old child. And he basically said to his gran, you've got cancer, and it was like, and she felt fine, there was nothing wrong with her, but they took her to the hospital, did the test, and lo and behold, she had stage 4 cancer. And then Anthony Williams, from the age of being a really young boy up until this very present day, has been channeling information that comes through him, is the best way to describe it. Now, he calls it spirit of compassion. And spirit of compassion comes through him. It's a voice that he hears in his head that basically explains food combinations as a way to heal different ailments, physical ailments, not just every type of ailment. When you look at his books now, he's got 6 or 7 books. They're like big hardback cover books, and the one I'm talking about, the one, The Cleanse We're On, is from Cleanse to Heal. That's a book that I came across probably 6 or 7 years ago, and Anthony Williams, over the last 40 years, after years and years and years of doing it for nothing, doing it for free, and basically talks about the exchange of people would come up to, he lived up in the backwoods somewhere, and he would come in when he was a wee boy and a young man, and they would bring like chickens, and they would bring like gifts for him, but he wasn't accepting money, and to the point now where he's the #1 holistic health practitioner in the world in terms of the most followed. He has over 250,000, 250,000 testimonials of people who are healing from his work, which is just incredible. And the evidence is there every single day on the social media. As you look at Instagram, you look at the people who have got psoriasis and eczemas and every condition you can imagine. I've been posting about it all week. My intention is to help him get his message to the world. Because of the benefits I've experienced my own life with it as well. It's incredible what he does. And the significant part is that it's not him. As he'll tell you every time that he talks, it comes through him. It's from Spirit of Compassion, which is God's compassion for man, which I absolutely love. The first time I heard that, I broke into tears. God's compassion for man, and using this man, this human being, as a vehicle to deliver this like groundbreaking, scientific, science-changing, science-altering information simply by using food as a medicine in certain combinations, and it's healing stuff that modern medicine can't fix. And not only that, Anthony now, over the last probably year or so, after all these testimonials, and you look at his books and who's actually vouching for him, it's those and such as those my mum used to say, there's some really famous people in there that are basically talking about him. Anybody that's heard of the celery juice revolution, that's Anthony Williams, and he's got very specific protocols. He believes through Spirit of Compassion there's really specific ways as to why we're getting sick, and he talks about all those different ways. He talks about all the different products that we're basically surrounded by, the environment, the different challenges we face, whether it's in the air or the water or the Wi-Fi or the different the metals that we're surrounded by, the petrochemicals we're surrounded by, the problems with the food. He's into it in really great detail, and he's online live just about every single day. I just love him. He's just a force for good. God bless his soul, and I am here to help him any way that I can, and very much looking forward to meeting him one day. And the cleanse itself is something that I did for the first time probably, it might have been 5 years ago. I came across it because my daughter, probably 6 or 7 years ago, she had really bad eczema, I believe because of vaccination. And to think that I held her down to get those vaccines when she was young, when I discovered that, the damage vaccines had done to me when I was probably in my mid-40s, and then the realisation that I'd held both my kids down, and then, lo and behold, her skin's bleeding and she's having all sorts of problems with her skin. That broke my heart, it really did, to think with the best of intentions from me to try and help her, what I'd done to her, just through my own ignorance, And then when I met Anthony Williams and I came across his work, Didn't meet him, I came across his work when I met the information, and then I discovered that these people live very similar conditions, psoriasis and heavy eczemas and stuff that nothing really fixes, and you hear his information how to fix it. That faith and that hope and that knowledge and that knowing because somebody else has done it, it's like the 4-minute mile. When somebody else does it, all of a sudden it can become normal, So when we came across this information, the celery juice was a bit of a challenge to begin with. I'd been juicing for probably 20 years by that point, almost every single day. I used to take my juicer on holiday because I was off my nut. I was so probably one of my tisms, just being so into something and so addicted to something. I'd take my big juicer on holiday with us. Whenever we went to Mallorca, absolutely. And, Anthony basically introduced celery juice, and I watched what happened to my daughter's skin and basically how it healed it in a really short period of time. And then so at that point, the very first cleanse that I did at the time, and whole food eating, and he talks about how he's not a vegan and he doesn't really endorse any type of diet. But at the same time, the recipes that I've came through, the combination that I've came through are all plant-based whole food, they're all water-based foods. And that's because, the body's 80% water, of course it is, so the body needs a very specific thing to learn to heal. You take away the inflammation, take away the stress, apply these specific combinations, and literal miracles are taking place. So the first time I did the cleanse is in 3 different stages. It's 9 days. He calls it the 369 cleanse. And the first one we did was a liver cleanse, the book From Liver Rescue. And the way he talks about it, why we're getting sick, as well as all the different, the toxicity in the environment, he talks about so the heavy metals that are in your system that come from everything, drinking out of cans, the metal that's in your fillings, if you're unfortunate enough to be back in the day, as I absolutely was, the metal that's, within the pipes, the old lead pipes, we're surrounded and we've got so much metal within our system. But it's the viruses that have been getting sprayed into the air since the 30s and the 40s that are also inside your system. So the viruses are feeding on the heavy metals, and it's a neurotoxicity. So it's a byproduct of the viruses eating the metals and feeding on the metals that basically cause the damage within the body, cause the cells to break down, cause the neurons to stop firing. And for him, and the way he explains it is basically getting these heavy metals out your system, as well as giving the foods and the supplementation is to deal with the viruses and get the immune system back on track. It's all about the immune system, how you get the immune system back to the place that it's meant to be, and the effect that the immune system is under with chronic stress and inflammation and worry and fear and anxiety and not sleeping properly and all the shite that we eat. Eventually you become compromised to the point the body starts to break down. And the information, he's been talking about this for forever. He's been talking about this level of information for the last many, many decades now. But I watched him last night. I was watching a wee documentary on him last night. He was talking about how it was so difficult to get the right combinations, especially the supplements, in terms of the quality of supplements that were going to be required to basically combat and fight against, the adversity of all these poisons that we face in this world. And it's really only been the last number of years where he's able to go, this is how it goes together. This is what the heavy metal detox is. And there's very specific steps to the process that he gets absolutely lambasted by modern medicine. He gets lambasted with health food gurus and dietitians that have got nothing against them. They maybe get 20 or 30,000 followers and they don't believe what he's saying because for whatever reason. But this man's standing with 250,000 testimonials of people showing pictures and going, this is what happened to me. This is what took place when I absolutely, stuck these protocols. I started to do the cleanses, and I can speak from my own experience. For the last 5 years, every single day that I've been in this country, I have done the medical medium protocols. So for the morning time, it starts off, I have 1.3 litres of water now, and I had 2 organic lemons squeezed in this morning, so 1.3 litres of water that comes through my big Berkey. Again, somebody at the weekend was asking, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm mental with this stuff, so what it takes to actually do this in terms of the machinery, the water filter, the food processor, the blender, the juicer, all these different things are things that you really need. And for me, they're like cooking utensils. That's what I use them for. And because I use them every single day, and it has been for the last 5 years since I started doing this work, so every single day, 1.3 litres of water through the Berkey, 2 organic lemons squeezed into this morning. And then you wait 15 minutes minimum. You can wait longer if you wish. Then it's 1 full head of celery, so a full bunch of celery, cut the bottom off it, wash it all down with clean water, and then juice that. You then put it through a sieve, and then drink the water. You get a full glass of celery. He reckons it's an American, it's like a quarter, whatever the amount is. It's a lot of celery, and it's expensive to do this. But again, relative to if you're going out and buying a cake and a coffee that's going to cost you a tenner, that's probably your breakfast you're spending on yourself when you're doing this properly, because the supplements are expensive, the machinery is obviously expensive to begin with, the foods in terms of organic food, if you can get that's expensive to obviously put in. But comparison to spending money in shite and takeaways and rubbish and all the stuff that we buy that we don't need. As a medicine, food as a medicine, that's what this is, which is the way that it's meant to be. So at that point, there's no really any choice for me. And for every single day for the last 5 years, the way that I've been doing it, those protocols, lemon water, the celery juice, and then it's a heavy metal detox smoothie, which I absolutely love. It's been interesting watching some of the people on the group, and just because there's a detox kind of stage with the taste buds, because we're addicted to the fats and the sugars and the poisons and the salts and all that kind of stuff. And that's why a month ago I started it by saying, look, if you're going to do this is serious stuff. This is going to be a huge jump for a lot of people. So there's a process to lead up to it before you actually start the cleanse. I've done the cleanse before 4 or 5 times. It is no easy. What it brings up in you, and there's different levels to the cleanse, from the introductory cleanse, which is a basic cleanse, but there's all sorts of types of food, and you're basically taking away the oils and the salts and the sugars and the fats. That's basically what you're doing. So it basically takes the taste out your food because your taste buds are so toxic. So there's a detoxification process over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Now, because I've been really clean since January time, it's been really easy for me. It's been really simple. There's been no real detox it's not been a struggle. For some people in the group, it's been a real struggle, and it's quite interesting watching the response to the heavy metal detox smoothie, which, if I had one food choice for the rest of my life, that's what I would have every single day. That's my breakfast every single day. It involves bananas. So I use up to 6 or 7 bananas. I make it for me and my wife. So 6 or 7 organic bananas every single morning. I use 2 oranges. I use 1 apple, that you basically split the apple up. I put the apple into the smoothie, and then I juice the core. And then you've got, I was going to say cilantro, which he calls it, it's coriander. So I use a bag of coriander every single day. Wash the coriander, that goes into the smoothie, that goes into my Vitamix blender. So you've just the oranges, you've just the apples, and then the bananas, the coriander. I'm becoming all American. I keep thinking of cilantro because that's what he uses. The coriander goes into the blender. You use the juice from the orange and the apple, you put that into the blender. And then you add in the superfoods, the powders that basically enable you to get the heavy metals out your system. So you've got barley grass, you've got spirulina, again, very specific brands he uses. He only endorses one brand, which he doesn't make a penny from, a company called Vimergy, which are really expensive compared to normal brands. But again, the way he explains it and the way that he stands beside it, it's like, well, if you're going to do this, you need to do it right. That's the whole thing. You're compromised by the ingredients you put in, absolutely. And then there's the detox is wild blueberries, which again I buy every month, frozen wild blueberries, 6 kilos of wild blueberries every single month, come here frozen. I stick them in my freezer and they go into the blender every single day. Anybody that's knowing about wild blueberries, they're nature's gift. If they talk about if you burn a wild blueberry bush to the ground, it'll regenerate itself. And what they do for the cells, what they do for the body, how they regenerate the body inside. He talks about it in great detail. I'm not going to get into it. It's only goodness. Wild blueberries are a gift from God. And as well as Atlantic sea dulse, that's the other one, like a seaweed which comes dried. You can get all these ingredients online, obviously, and what the seaweed does is fantastic. The seaweed basically goes in, and it's like cleaning the ocean, so it's going in and basically taking the heavy metals and basically taking them out your cells, out your system, cleansing the liver, which is a big one. He talks about the liver all the time, and when you look at the liver and all the different, like, the influence that liver has on your body and your levels of energy and how it deals with disease and how it deals with the viruses. He talks about the stagnation of the liver and a fatty liver and how that starts to impact the liver basically affects. Now, because I've been I've been listening to my acupuncturist for the last 12 or 13 years now, and we've talked a lot about the liver and how the liver affects everything, how it affects the stomach and the spleen and the heart and the kidneys, everything. That the liver's like, that's the source, that's basically the generator for your life force, So this specific combination, the bananas, orange juice, the apple juice, the coriander, the Atlantic sea dulse, the barley grass powder and the spirulina powder, that's what basically makes up the heavy metal detox smoothie. And it's like manna for heaven. I absolutely love it. I've got a sweet tooth, so the bananas, if you look at my bananas, I've got probably 40 bunches of bananas at different stages just now, getting ripe for the time when I can use them for my breakfast time. I've always got at least 20 or 30 bunches because they're so difficult to get when they're ripe enough. When you buy a banana and it's green sometimes just now, this time of year and the way we're getting them in for wherever they're coming from, for the supermarkets that I get them from, it takes about a week to 2 weeks to get them ripe enough. You want them to have them spotted and soft so the sugar and the fructose is actually in them. That's the way to eat a banana, so I've got a whole system for even just for bananas, which sounds bananas. Absolutely brilliant, so that's the breakfast time. That's a smoothie that's every single day. Been doing that for nearly 5 years now. I absolutely love it. And then the 369 cleanse is just a combination of different foods. And it's dead simple, but it's no easy. It really isn't, because you're taking away the salt and you're taking away the sugar. There are some spices in there, depending on what level you do it to. I've done the advanced cleanse from his book a couple of times now, and that'll test you. That was harder than any Ironman I've ever done, any ultra distance run. Some of the big bike rides, 14-hour bike rides, where you're out in the middle of nowhere, just like in the middle of the snow, like that kind of stuff, the way that tests you. This cleanse is the exact same. There's so much food in it, you can hardly get it into you. But at the same time, you kind of feel hungry and you're detoxing at the same time, and your body's healing and you're tired and you're bursting with energy and you're up and you're down and you're dealing with the no sugar and the no salt. It's a fascinating process, and it's in 3 very distinct stages. We're in day 4 now. This is day 4 of the cleanse, and I feel fantastic. I really do. I'm feeling great. I'm doing it in a different way. I would normally go and, me being me, do the advanced cleanse and kill myself for 9 days. And it was Jill said to me last week, he says, why don't you not do that this time? Like, don't hurt yourself. And it's been interesting for me because I'm healing myself just now. The cleanse is great for me. I'm loving it, and I'm loving leading the group and getting people into it. The amount of people on that group, I've never done anything like this. The amount of people in the group that, that what they're posting every single day, how inspiring it is to watch people eating proper food for the first time in life. John spoke about it last night, like giving his body the gift, these healing tools, this healing gift of like basically taking the stress away for the first time in his life. Is what John's in his mid-30s now, and there's some people that have, I say it all the time, there's laddies in here that have never done a proper meal in their life. It's been fast food or take away their entire life. And the food and the toxicity we put into our body, and why so many people are in disease. You just need to go into the supermarket and watch what the Waynes are getting for their lunch. You just need to look at people's baskets or trolleys and see the literal shite and poison they're feeding themselves with, because it tastes good, because it looks good, and because they're addicted to it. They've got all the basic food groups covered into that. The fats, the salts, the sugars, the stuff that looks good, the stuff that tastes good. It's an addiction. Food is the biggest addiction. I say all the time, you want to see Armageddon? Forget the world wars. Shut the supermarkets for 3 days and watch what happens. When normal people have got no access to sugar or salt, you would literally go off your nut. Hawkins used to talk about how, the jails, he did the muscle test in kinesiology, and I can't remember the percent, but the percentage of people are basically in jail because they have low blood sugar and can't remember what they did. It's just insanity, so an addiction to food, that's a great thing for this cleanse, taking away, when you, as Big Myra says, fucking love it, like choose your hard. This is hard, but doing the other way is so much harder, so having the choice, having the freedom to make the correct choices, and the benefits that I can see in every single one of them, even just 4 days in, as hard as it is. And then watching Debbie this afternoon was talking, she's got a night out tonight, and what do? Do you stick to the cleanse, or do you become a weirdo and basically, like eat before you go, and do you fess up and tell people what you're doing? Because it's madness. Of course it's madness, using food as a combination and putting your tooth through this pain. Normal people wouldn't do that. But this isn't for normal people. This is for warriors. This is for people who are addicted to a different way of living. This is for people who are addicted to fulfilling their potential and getting to that place, the promised land of freedom. We can go and change this world and get it back to the way that it is. So at that point, it's no hard. It's really actually easy. It just takes one choice. It's a decision, and then you go and do it. And if you are hungry, there's ways you can get through it, in terms of, the food that you can eat. In the meantime, there's different snacks you can have, all the best of stuff, giving the body exactly what it needs, providing the exact environment to allow it to heal. So excited for that. That's been a great process. I'm so glad we've done it. It's something that I like to do. I would like to do 4 times a year. I missed it towards the end of last year, I think, because I was so big. I did it once last year, but really 4 times a year. I think the change of seasons is a great time to do it, and also to kind of rein yourself back in, and basically because of course the biscuits can creep in, of course the occasional coffee or whatever it is. So for some people, not within this group, for alcohol, some people that just it's what they do. That's their addictions. That's the unconscious programming, but it's about being conscious. And John actually McGuire put on the group this morning, last year was all about intentional living, this year is all about intentional eating, and that's because of the benefits. When you see that man and what's coming through him, it is such a huge part of this, so really great to see the cleanse and how it's going together. It's been vital for me. God bless Anthony Williams, it really has for the last 5 years. What it's doing for me just now, and this cleanse, the benefits to it, the physical cleanse, but because of the group and because of what we're doing with the meditations and the spiritual work, the benefits to that, what's going to happen in terms of the massive shift in consciousness when your body is now a different receptacle to the divine, when it becomes cleaner, when it becomes like lighter, literally lighter, when you take away the resistance and take away the poisons. I can feel myself, and I've been eating really well now for the last 8 or 9 weeks, but now over the last 4 or 5 days when I've really kind of ramped it up, my meditations are off the charts. I'm in a place I've never been before. I'm finding new ways to teach the way. I'm finding new ways to teach the experience of God, which is what it's all about. It's how do you normalise that? How can you make it as normal and simple and easy so that anybody can get it? That's what it's all about. So in me, like even the way that I've got it, the level I've got it to, when I basically have the disciplines, again, that freedom and discipline for Jim Rohn, when I basically have the absolute discipline to go, you know what, no, I'm not just going to unconsciously because it's an addiction, because it's a habit, but I'm going to be structured, I'm going to do it with proper intention. Even the food that I'm now getting, for the last few weeks I've been blessing my food, which changes everything. And that sounds bananas, I know that, but to actually, by intention, you're putting a different energy into your food. And somebody was struggling with the celery juice the first couple of days, and it's medicine. This is literal medicine. So hold in your hands and give thanks for it and bless it. And you literally raise the consciousness of whatever you put into your body. Of course you do. And then when you take it as a medicine, everything changes. And I can feel that within myself, no question whatsoever. Because we need to get it for ourselves first and foremost. That's what I'm doing just now. This is like a preparation phase for me. That's what it feels like. And everything with the diet and the dis-ease in my body and the expansion that I'm going through. I've never been happier. I've never felt more joyful. I've never had more energy. I feel fantastic. I'm so excited for everything just now. And if you get it for yourself the way that I'm doing it just now, of course it impacts everybody, and because of the community we've got, where people are able to basically tap into me every single day with the chats and availability to phone calls if that's what's required, but that's rising everybody up, that's lifting everybody up, by my intention, of course it is. I need to lead the way with it. The vortex in the programme is mine, and there's the inner circle round about it, and there's the group and the community, but I need to lead it. And what's happening with every single person, even the ones that are not on the cleanse, I can feel them looking in, and by the end of this, it'll be the next time around, we'll get more of them. We'll get more people that are going to go, you know what is that? Because of what they're going to see of what people become. And at that point, we start to impact the world. At that point, we literally start to change the world, and that's what it's all about. So it's a great time just now. I realise I'm in a great place. I'm in full alignment. I am in full God. I have, over the last few days, my meditation, I say a lot, for me, to fulfill my potential, it's like literally laying down your life to the divine, like becoming at that level, like to hand it over and to basically give up everything to serve the greatest good, to serve the light, to serve the way, to serve the truth, to get this world back to the way that it's meant to be. There are so many people like that. This is my 28th year of working on this stuff, and there's different steps to it, there's different stages to it, and the bit that I'm at just now, in ways I've never done before, I am all in, I am full God, I'm committed in ways that I didn't know existed. And it came off the back of contrast, it came off the back of dis-ease, which is always the way that it happens. There's always a fall before you seem to rise up. That's certainly been the story for my life, or any kind of great story. You normally fall and crash and burn first, and then the opportunity to basically rise and climb yourself out of the gutter and go again, and then get to that place that you didn't think you were going to get to, but you realised if you did the work and you committed to it, there was a chance. And then the path I'm on just now, I am absolutely on that path. I'm loving it. I am absolutely excited in every way. There's so much expansion. There are so many opportunities coming in for us to help people, which I'm just so grateful for. The people around about it that are helping every single day, just so grateful to them as well. And the intention is to take it to the world. That's it. It's to heal the world. We need to do it. Human beings need to do it. It's not going to be the leaders. It's not going to be, the politicians. Like, they're in it for their own self-gain. They are so programmed, into being right and the ego and protecting stuff that doesn't actually matter that much, because of what they're all about and who they are and all that kind of nonsense. It's a different realm, So the lower self, the ego self, the kill or be killed model, the kind of get it for you before anybody else gets it. That's, that at a certain level, once you start to transcend it, you start to see that we're all connected, as a species. We're all brothers and sisters. We are all literally on the same page on this planet, and the damage that could be done, that's already been done. done, but the damage that could be done with all these nutters that are running the world just now, we need to change it. We need to change it, and the way to change that is not through fighting against them, because you can't, because they've got all the toys, they've got all the wars and the militaries and all the kind of stuff that goes with it. So it's from a different way. It's with love. It's with intention. It's by allowing the divine to come through and really getting it for yourself first and foremost, and then connecting with each other. That was a big thing in Saturday, reconnection with each other. The hugs at the end, like people getting hugs, like proper hugs at the ends, and then reconnection with Mother Nature, like empathy and compassion for what we've done to Mother Nature, so we can eventually allow that to heal itself by stopping fucking poisoning it. And then with the divine, that's the goal, is a reconnection back to God, back to the divine way, and back to the way that it's meant to be. And that's what this is about. That's really my strongest suit, is that stuff. All the other stuff is basically, that's just that prepares you, but the reconnection and the realignment back to God, back to that divinity that's inside every single one of us, that's how we really fix it, and that's really exciting. So there's a lot of good stuff going on just now. There's a new programme through the Vortex, Healing with Intention, which is only for programme members. That's the way that a lot of this stuff is going just now. The Friday night in is still available. One Day to Change Your Life's available. That's really kind of the bridge into it, and then it's like joining the programme, because the ceremony retreat, the only way to get into that is basically by being a programme member. The Healing with Intention, the only way to get on about the brand new course is by being a programme member, and that is something I am so excited about. That came off the back of the last year at Boys Club, and on certain times we'll basically get the healing bed out, and I've trained in different energy therapies. I trained in a Shui Reiki up to master level. I trained to Angelic Reiki up to master level, and then I came away from that, and I was doing the healing work. I was enjoying the healing work, and the healing work is basically, like, I call it healing with intention. That's my system. My teacher, Abiel, God bless your soul, Dan, thank you for everything you did for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing her very soon. Abiel, basically, I spoke to her maybe a couple of years ago, maybe more than that, and I was saying, like this is what I'm doing. Because somebody asked me about the archangels. When you tune into the archangels, they said, do you think the archangels might be compromised? And I didn't know. It's like I don't go into those realms. I don't see stuff. I don't like channel anything. I know how to feel. I know what God feels like. I know what the field feels like. I know how to tap into the field. So for me, it was like, well, I go straight to the source, and what comes through me by the power of my intention, and when I know how intention works, which I do, when I simply bring that, excuse me a wee second. It's this chaga tea, part of the diet. It's wonderful. When I allow that divine, or I get in alignment with that, the divine to come through, when you're sitting in spirit, when you're inspired and it's flowing through you, especially the way it is just now, then by the power of intention, you can. It's like a silent prayer. You're literally putting into somebody else, just by the power of your intention. And I've seen so many miracles with one energy session, simply by sitting in meditation. As John said last night, it's like a joint meditation, when you're basically sitting behind somebody with your hands on their shoulders and allowing it to come through you. You connect on a soul level, absolutely, and then when it comes through you, the projection into it, and what I've seen so many times over the years, it's just so powerful. So over the last year with the Boys Club, we've been doing that kind of on and off, and then the last 2 weeks, 2 lads in particular within the group, they were needing love, basically. It's something I've been speaking about, how bringing love into my own life and loving myself and compassion for my own journey, and allowing it in for the ones that love me in the group, and really it's changed my life. I'm loving myself. I'm tending myself like I've never done before, which is great. It's healing me in ways I could never have imagined, and I wouldn't have got there without that self-love. And as I've said before, it's like, it's no like looking in the mirror and telling yourself you love yourself. No, it's connecting to that field, that life force, that energetic emotion, that frequency that we call love, and when you tap into the levels of that and you start to reconnect with the divine, when that comes through you by the power of your intention to put in another human being, miracles can take place. So the Boys Club over the last couple of weeks, again, it's at the point now, because they know where I'm coming from, because it is only goodness and the desire to help, they're up for anything, and well done to them, man. Like, just open heart and open minds, what I always say about this work, because this is cutting edge stuff, I do believe. When we're getting to the point where we're bringing people in and watching what happens when we're standing around about the table, and just really feeling the love in our hearts through meditation, the love of the divine, and then projecting it into whoever's on the bed and watching what's happening to people, it's life changing, not just for the one on the bed, but those that are on about it. And then sitting Monday night there, that was 2 Mondays ago, was just incredible. We had a fantastic night. There was 11 of us in the room, all in bliss, everybody like learning so many things and experiencing new like revelations and information and inspiration. It was fantastic, all by sitting in love. And then Monday night there, it was a lot quieter, but it was perfect, because one of the members in particular, He got something that he's been looking for a long time, which was just, I couldn't stop greeting the next day, just thinking about, you know, this man, the age and stage and what he's been through in his life, and feeling love probably for the first time, like properly, and what it's done for him, you know, and what it did for all of us. You know, at the end of the session, we're just sitting, like, sending him love. Again, that's that power of intention, connected in the field. That's what the Monday nights are about. It's that really strong connection. Once we do the breath work on Monday night before the ice bath and the sauna, sitting in meditation, you can't get people to go, everybody just sits in that space because it feels that good. You're in the presence of God, you're in the presence of the divine, you know. So now, healing with intention, sitting in Monday night, I'm going, I need the woman. I need the woman for the group round about this. We need to have a balance. We need more people on about this, so that it doesn't take away from the Monday nights, absolutely, but so we can do something on its own. So now healing with intention has been born. I've been teaching energy work for the last year or so. Everything I'm teaching to my students, my apprentices, is for free. The ones that are going to be passing it on and basically using this as a modality to help other people, it's a gift. They help me become at the events, and they help me by showing up here every single week and support me in different ways. My intention is to gift them. I'm not taking thousands of pounds off them. I'm basically showing them what I'm doing, so we can go and take this to the world. That's the plan with it. So healing with intention has been born. It starts next Wednesday, which is the day after the cleanse. I can't wait for it. I'm so excited about it. As John said last night, once we'd finished, the thought of everybody like in that connection, that level of connection, in that presence of, because you're basically pulling in ascended masters, saints, you know, ancestors that have passed before you. My mum is there all the time. My grandfather, my dad's dad, is somebody that's there all the time as well. I can feel the presence, just only goodness, a real peaceful warrior. And one of my teachers basically said to me that he stands beside me. I can feel him all the time. You know, then you get to the archangels, and you get to like the Christ consciousness. You know, you get to like Mother Mary. You get to all these ascended masters, ascended beings. Well, if you understand the field the way that I do, where else could they be except in spirit? So if you know how to tap into spirit, as we do, and with intention you bring that through with the desire to lift this world up and lift the individual up who's on the bed, and lift the room up, the people around about it, that butterfly effect, the impact that has outside the walls, how that goes out to the world, that's exciting, you know. So that's another one for the programme members. It's so good just now. It's get on the programme. That's all I would say. We're absolutely flying. Everybody's doing great. We're all on the rise. The plan is to take it to the world whenever it happens. There's no rush. It's that good just now. It's already here. Numbers are perfect. The people are perfect. There's only goodness. It's exciting every single day. There's new stuff coming through every single day for me. There's new expansion coming in for all sorts of areas. People should not want to help, which is just awesome as well, you know. So at that point, we're in a great place. Everyone's going well. We're on the up and up. Cleanse to heal on every level. The diet, you know, cleansing the mind, cleansing the heart, cleansing the soul, cleansing your spirit, absolutely. And for me, it's all about the divine, you know, serving the greatest good, all glory to God and the highest, you know, or the presence of the divine, the intention to work for the divine, the intention to let that come through so we can help other people, you know, find their way. Because let's be honest, there's no many ways out there that actually work. You know, the intellect and the way people are doing things, and you go into social media and you see some of the absolute bullshit that's out there in terms of how people are trying to basically help people. It's all for money and nothing works, you know. So at this point, self-reliance, getting it for yourself, you know, so you don't need anybody, so that nobody's got advice for you, so you can basically follow your heart and follow your soul and go and live your very best life, you know, which is what it's all about, you know, fulfilling your potential, getting it for yourself. That's the only thing you're here to do. And when you do that, you'll inspire other people. And at that point, other people are going about it, you know, so it's all good. Really grateful for everybody that's tuned in again. Gratitude from my heart to all of you. I look forward to seeing you at some point in the future, hopefully. Love and light, keep moving forward. We do our best every single day. Cleanse to Heal number 41. I've enjoyed this one. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you all. Peace out, take care, and bye for now.